what happens when I'm dead? What next? There are things that, those I leave behind are going to be responsible for. And today's video is all about trying to inspire you to do some estate planning and funeral instructions, and just put a little bit of thought into what you can do to prepare for that very sad time, and how you can make it easier on your loved ones with just a little bit of preparation now. I'm all about planning ahead. My family think it's quite funny, but since I was, I think in my 30s, early 30s, I started a green folder. It says Wendy's Farewell or Funeral. And I have been collecting papers and writing down ideas for my family to organise my farewell. We hear a song and we all think, oh, I want that played at my funeral, or, it's not unusual to think about what sort of coffin we'd like, or what flowers or things that we'd like to happen when we go. But yeah, I have been building on this document for quite a while. But recently, when both my parents passed away in the last 2 years, I realised that my green folder was quite inadequate, and there are a few things that I need to add to that to ease some of the burden and responsibility when I pass. So I've been working on that. It's a work in progress at the moment. So I thought I'd talk to you guys about it, because part of what I suggest and put to you is that you do some written legacy documents and include those into your preparations. I'll explain a bit more about that later. So I'm hoping you'll stay to the end. I'm hoping that you'll go and grab a piece of paper and a pen right now and come back, and we'll go through just a few categories of things that you can think about when you're planning ahead. These are the things we're going to cover over the next 10, 20 minutes. And I'm hoping I help you just start thinking about this and having that difficult conversation with your family. I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's not the easiest conversation, but it's really helpful. Try and have a little bit of fun with it, and it's much easier to have these conversations when you're well and feeling good and positive, not when you're on your deathbed and everyone's so concerned and doesn't know what your wishes are. So some of the documents that you might want to consider collecting are things like a health directive. So I think it's called, in Australia, we call it the Advanced Health Directive, and it's a really important document if for some reason you're incapacitated and aren't able to think clearly about things, or just physically, got limitations, that people who have been given power to make decisions for you understand what your wishes are, and they're not the ones having to make those very difficult decisions. With my mum, I was able to talk to her about these things when she had a clear mind, and when the time came that I noticed that she had decline and she was physically getting weaker and more unstable, I was able to say to her, I think, you know, these things we talked about, Mum, now it's time that we have to get some extra help for you at home. And she was glad to be able to hand that over and not have to worry about that. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And when the time came, when she then moved into sort of a palliative care arrangement, I didn't have to second guess the decisions I was making and the things I was talking about with the doctors, because we'd already had those hard conversations about, you know, whether people want to be revived if they've collapsed with a heart attack, or, you know, for whatever reason, if her organs were to be donated, you know, the horrible one about whether machines stay on or off, those sort of things. We had that conversation before she had any kind of dementia or decline in her thinking. So there are those kind of things, health directives. Other documents might be financial. So, you know, your bank account details, your accountant's number and name, contact information, your lawyer's, you know, contact details, superannuation. I don't want to go in and try and make a comprehensive list of those things. Like, every situation's different. You're going to know your own personal situation, what's needed, you know, whether you own homes or investment properties or things like that. Like, you know what your obligations are and what responsibilities you're leaving. So I suggest that you make that one page where you just start writing down things as you think of them, or do a Google search and ask, you know, what sort of documents are needed when someone dies. You know, there's plenty of checklists and things like that that you can obtain online, or maybe in a social security office or something like that. I think even in my doctor's waiting room there was a form once that I grabbed which had some suggestions on what you need to do when someone passes away. These are just some of the things that came up when I Google searched. So it's not hard to find a list if you need that sort of structure to help you get started. But just get started. So there's lots of resources out there, that's what I'm saying. But my job today is just to try and get you going and get you into the process. Just begin it and see what you can get done. So yeah, one of the first things would be like, get some sort of folder or box, whatever you like, to keep these documents all in one place, and let your family know where that is, and your trusted person who you've given power of attorney to, let them know where you keep that. Give them a copy if you feel comfortable with that. So yeah, that's my first step, would be to get yourself a folder, and even if it's an expanding file or something like that, where you can keep things, and yeah, notify your family where you keep that. Another document that I just thought about is a will. So you can get will forms at a newsagent, at a post office here in Australia, or you can download something online. You can go and see a solicitor or legal person and get them to draw something up, all depending on your own situation. You figure that one out. Get it signed by and witnessed by a justice of the peace, and make copies to give to your people in your family that need to know about that. The other thing, which was a difficult document, when my brother and sister and I had to fill these out for our parents, some of the questions were just a little tricky, and you know, they want to know where people were married, what year, what occupations they held, and things like that. So, you know, sometimes we don't know. We don't know our grandparents' information, or, you know, depending on what age people are dealing with this, it's just hasn't come up in conversation. So what I've done is filled it out for my children with my information. Anything that they'd need to know, I've already filled it out and putting it in my folder. It is pretty basic information, but just to be on the safe side, and so that you just relieve a little bit of stress for your family. So that's, yeah, something that Advanced Health Directive. So you've got health things, financial things, your possessions and your will, and the death registration. They're just some of the documents that you might want to include. But like I said, if something comes to mind and you think of it, grab that document, download that document, and put it into your folder. You know, where is your bank? What bank do you bank with? Where are they going to find your account numbers and things like that? So you don't have to give it to them before you pass if you don't want to, but keep it in a place so that if something happened to you, if you had an accident and were comatose, or, you know, debilitated in any way, that they know where to go to get these documents. Especially if you don't live in the same place anymore. Like a lot of families, you know, we don't even live in the same state anymore. So if they're coming to your home when there's been a tragic event, you know, you need to explain to them where they would find these important documents. So, yeah, having conversations about power of attorney and things like that can be difficult, and especially the health directive, you know, thinking about, you know, those difficult things and decisions. They're good. This is a good conversation to have with your family. So, and I just encourage you to do that. I was thinking maybe one night a week for the next so many weeks, I'm going to put a few hours into gathering documents that I don't have yet, and like copying them, putting them into this folder. Yeah, just updating, that sort of thing. So the next one on the list was the eulogy. And I thought, why not? Why can't we be involved in writing our own eulogy? It really is just a story of significant events in our life, and often, you know, read at funerals by someone who we consider strong enough to get through it without crying too hard. I haven't seen too many people do that actually without getting a little emotional. I think that's totally reasonable. But I've really found it nice when I've been to a funeral of a friend or friend's family to hear those stories. You know, they're not something that we always talk about when we're out for dinner or in each other's homes, but yeah, to hear where people grew up and a little bit about their childhood and some lovely memories and stories from their earlier days, it's really makes for a special time. So what I've done is started writing my life story. I'm not writing a book here, I'm just writing some key points along the way. So I wrote about my birth, where I lived, any health issues that I had, what my life was like before school, during primary school, high school, young adult time, and then married life and children, etc. So you can make it whatever you like. And once again, online we have resources. You can get templates for a eulogy. You can make up your own. If you've been to a funeral, you know sort of what's expected, what's socially acceptable, and yeah, just work from that. So a written legacy might not be something that everyone's interested in doing, but for me, I thought it's my one last chance to have a say and speak into the lives of my children and my spouse. So I'm including letters to each of my loved ones, and you know, the sort of things that might be included are just encouragement, some wisdom. It's not just something that they can treasure, and you know, a tangible kind of piece of evidence of your love for them. Even if it is just an I love you, like how special would that be for your family to have that in your handwriting, and to know that you did that and kept it in a special place for them. You know, there are some people out there who struggle with that in their day-to-day life, just to express that for people. So if writing it down is a way you can let people know how you feel about them, this is, you know, and this is your last chance putting it in this sort of form, then go ahead and do that. I think that'll be a real blessing to your family. The funeral arrangements can be a fun little thing. Why not have a dinner party next time the family all get together? Why not have a talk about this after dinner, and before you're heading into board games and things like that? You know, let's have these conversations, keep it lighthearted, have a bit of fun, and get people thinking about these big issues. So we talk about it in my family. We don't have an issue or taboo subjects really in our family, but my children do know what sort of coffin I want and how I want that service to go, songs that I would like sung and things like that. Maybe Bible passages that you want read, or whether you do want a religious service or not. These are the sort of things family need to know. If you're getting a celebrant to do a farewell service, they would have their own maybe order of service that you could ask them for and help you when you're preparing. Churches would have their own order of service and things like that. So, you know, if you need help with that, just ask the person in charge. Some of the music choices that I've made over the years, you know, have changed, and it's good for this to be an organic kind of document. So, you know, you're going to find something new that you think is even better than what you had planned before. Throw it out, add something new. It's this is not like setting in stone everything that has to happen. I've joked with my family that I want them all to wear black to my wedding. So I've asked my family that they wear black and that they cry a lot when they're saying goodbye to me. And I'm not kidding about that. I know it's very popular to celebrate life and to wear bright colours and try and keep it upbeat and positive. But I think, for me personally, as part of a grieving process, I don't think there's a problem with having some solemn time and then moving into, you know, joyful memories and celebration after that. But I've sort of made light of it with my family that when I die, I want them to weep and wail and cry hard and be sad, and then to take a big breath and keep going and live, you know, their life, live a good life. What are some of the other fun things you could do at a funeral? You could make a video like this, you know, if you're seeing this, I've passed away kind of video. You could have that showing. You could make your own like PowerPoint of photos, like a slideshow, I mean. So that's something you could put in this folder, is gather up some photos of you throughout your life, you know, from young person, wherever you want. You know, pick the photo that you'd like to be framed and displayed on your coffin. Have fun with it. You know, enjoy looking back through your photo albums and picking out a few things, getting extra copies made or something like that. Choosing poems or scripture that resonate with you and share that in your folder. You know, it's a way for your family to get to know you intimately through your choices. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about today was the season of grief. So you've said your farewells, you've come home, and now you have to work out how to move on with your life and deal with the feelings and emotions that you're going to face after you've lost someone special. And I'm no expert on grief. I've experienced grief, and every different person, it's been a different kind of grief experience, so far in my lifetime. So I don't think there is one way to deal with grief, but it is something we're going to have to deal with. There's no avoiding it. So I just would like to give my little bit of advice that you be kind to yourself, be kind to others when they're going through a grieving time. Sometimes, you just need a person to sit with you and be quiet with you and let you cry, or let you tell stories about your loved one. And if you're struggling to find someone who can't just be with you and give you what you need in that time, then there's no shame or embarrassment in actually seeking professional help. So there are people out there who specialise in grief counselling. They understand all of the emotions and things that we go through in that process. So, cut some slack for your friends, because sometimes they really don't know how to deal with it. Unless they've been through it themselves, it can be very difficult to know what to say to someone who's grieving, and they might choose to say nothing at all. And they may say really dumb things. It happens, but it's really people just not knowing what to do and how to help. So, you take the lead in that and get yourself some professional help if that's what you need. But don't rush the process. Feel everything that comes at you and try not to just get stuck in any of it, because you don't want it to swallow you. You want to be able to live a happy life still, even though you are having those feelings of loss. So I hope me just bringing this up today and putting it in front of you to think about, that you've been able to get some things down on your sheet of paper and be a kickstart to you having your own folder and helping your family through this difficult time that's ahead of them. I hope you'll like the video today. Press the like button, subscribe if you want to come back and have another chat with me some other time. And I appreciate your time today, and I hope that I have been of some inspiration and help to you. Goodbye.